Coming up, we're talking with people that did not let their MS diagnosis stop them. In fact, it inspired them to rise to the next level. The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by Children's Learning Place, excellence in early childhood education since 1998, educating Chicago's children for 20 years. And the Auto Barn Mazda of Evanston and Chicago, the Auto Barn Mazda, where driving matters. Special thanks to the Illinois chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Dr. Daftari and the team at Arta Modern Dentistry, Kevin Kelly with Jameson Sotheby's International Realty, STI Movers, Mazda, Chicago Andrea Creative, and Cellular Intelligence. Having muscles that work against you, lesions on your brain, and a big question mark about your future. That's what multiple sclerosis looks like for most people. Today's guests, however, are taking their diagnosis by both hands and moving mountains with MS. You're watching The Whitney Reynolds Show. Just weeks before her wedding, our first guest, Angie Randall, knew something wasn't right when she woke up with blurred vision. Just weeks into her marriage, tests confirmed she had multiple sclerosis. She is here today to tell us about the news that brought her to her knees and has now become her platform. Welcome to the show, Angie.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about a story that's really personal to you because you had just gotten married and then your life got turned upside down. What was the first sign that came to you that you might have MS?
Well, I woke up one morning and I just couldn't see out of my right eye. It was as if everything had just gone dark.
And you never had that happen before?
No, nothing like that.
And when that happened to you, did you immediately think anything with MS, or were you thinking, okay, maybe I'm losing vision in my eye?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea what to think. My first instinct was I got to go to a doctor and figure out what's going on.
So that's what you did. You went to the doctor. How long did it take to get you in with a neurologist?
So I actually didn't see a neurologist right away. I went to my ophthalmologist and we just tried to figure out what was going on. It really wasn't until a couple days later, I woke up and I couldn't feel my body, my arms, my legs, everything was totally numb. And we knew then that I needed an MRI, which conclusively proved MS.
Was it something up until that point when you were Googling? Because we all have that way of, going to the internet whenever something goes wrong. Did you see anything with MS pop up?
It's funny that you say that. My girlfriend was a nurse and she said, you're having all these sensory issues. Maybe it's MS. And I had no idea what MS even was, to be honest with you. I just knew that it was something I didn't want to have.
How old were you whenever this started happening?
29.
29. So you're 29, and this has to be terrifying, especially when a friend says it might be MS. So your body goes numb. Was that when it confirmed in your mind that this might actually be a reality, that something bigger is going on?
I didn't know what it meant. It really wasn't until I got the call from my doctor and she told me that I had MS did my world feel like it just came crumbling down. I remember that second, I just fell to the floor and I felt like my heart sank into my stomach. I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah, that has to be one of those moments where you're just like, what's happening, where everything just hits pause. How did you pick yourself back up? And I don't mean physically from the floor. How did you literally just pick yourself up from this kind of news? Because our viewers are probably watching, and it might not be MS they have, but we all have these huge struggles that come our way in our lifetime, and we don't really know what they're going to be. Yeah. How did you get through that moment of news?
Well, I'm somebody who always keeps going. I want to keep moving. And I knew that I had to, find a doctor and figure out a medication, or I needed to take action. And I took action way before my heart caught up with my head, but I knew I needed to just move. And that's exactly what I did. The next day I got enrolled into the hospital. I had to undergo 5 days of steroids. I needed to get the process going for getting better. And then I was really able to let it digest.
That was interesting that you said you had to let your head go first, let your heart catch up later, because that is so true. Is like you went into go mode. Like
Yeah.
you knew you had to take care of business. So people are probably also watching and they're saying she's not showing really any signs of MS. Do you still have trouble with some of the signs that MS brings?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like every day with MS is different. You never know what to expect. But I was lucky enough to find a medication that's really been working very well for me. And between that and living a really healthy lifestyle, I've been able to really control it for the most part.
Is MS one of those things that you can control, or is it kind of like a new area of it could hit a different way, later on? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, there's a level of MS that's really unpredictable. I can't tell you tomorrow that it won't affect me in a different way than it's affecting me today. But I think for the most part, medication really does help control it. And it's been, really helpful for me.
Did you search out a specific doctor? Did you want to find like the best in the field that knows how to handle cases like yours? Or did you just find like whatever doctor was recommended?
No, I interviewed a couple of doctors before I settled on the one that I use now. And I highly recommend that for anyone who's been recently diagnosed. MS is a very personal thing, and everyone's MS is very different. And I feel like finding a doctor is going to personalize your care and put you on the medication that's best for you is incredibly important.
So when you say personalize your care, I think that's important because, like you were saying, MS does not look the same for everyone. And to find what works for you, is it something that all MS people that are diagnosed, they can take the same drug, or is there different drugs out there?
There are about, I think, at least 12 different MS options. MS medications have come a long way in the last, 10, 15 years. And now there are options that weren't available back then. Now there are infusions, there are oral pills. It's not just shots, which used to be the case. And so I had the luxury really to pick which medication was best for me. And that is what I did. I went with my doctor's recommendation.
So when you got diagnosed with MS, you were newly married. The thought of kids, usually for people that get married, is kind of like the next step.
Yeah.
Some people don't ever go that route, but some do. And was that a terrifying thought for you of how do I now have kids because I can't be on drugs during that period?
Absolutely. I mean, it's terrifying. I'd recently gotten married, as you said, and we were thinking about starting a family. And luckily, I found a doctor who was willing to work with me so I could safely get pregnant. And that's what I did. I now have an 18-month-old, and it was the best decision I ever made.
And it also had to be scary. It was the best, but scary. And it was one of those moments that had to be like, okay, I'm trusting the process here.
Yes, absolutely. And, going off of a medication is a risk to get pregnant. But for me, the risk outweighed, the reward outweighed the
and
risk.
She's beautiful. When you look at your daughter, you're like, big reward right here.
Absolutely.
What would you want people to know about your journey with MS?
I think it's really important to know that life is going to be okay. I really didn't know that when I was first diagnosed. I was incredibly scared. I was overwhelmed. But the truth is that my life is very full and very active. And thanks to a great medication, support from my family and friends, living a healthy lifestyle, and I think really just having a positive attitude, I'm able to sit with you here today and say that, I'm living well and strong with MS.
I love that. And you're also raising a lot of money for MS. To date, $80,000.
To date, and we will surpass that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And you are an inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our next guest was in the height of his NHL career when he was diagnosed with MS. Let's welcome out Brian Bickle. Brian, thanks for coming on the show today. We have been talking about MS, and you had a recent diagnosis. What was that like for you?
It was tough. I got diagnosed in November, start of the season. I got traded to Carolina, and a couple months in, I felt symptoms where, playing hockey, you go through injuries and stuff like that. And then I was just like kind of wondering what's happening. And then, it got worse and got worse. And then I had to look into it. And days later, the doctor told me that I had MS. So, we took a couple steps back, got it treated. And, to where I am now from 8 months ago, it's crazy. I didn't think I was going to ever play hockey or if I was going to, lift my kids. But, I'm here today and feeling normal again.
What did that feeling of hearing that diagnosis, because in life, not just with MS, life's bound to come at us pretty fast at times, and to hear that you have something that maybe you didn't know a lot about, maybe you never even researched MS before up until that point. What was that like for you?
It was, obviously, I didn't know anything about it. Obviously, if you knew somebody that had it, me going in, he told me he had MS. I'm like, I didn't really know anything. I'm like, what's MS? And then the doctor got more and more details. But, for where I am now to where I was, it's crazy. I didn't think, if I was ever going to get better. But, the process and, it's still young for me, but it's going the right direction. We're happy with where it's going. Obviously playing hockey and then have to retire early because of it. That's the thing that I've known my whole life is to play hockey. Obviously it kind of sucks in that part of it, but I got two young girls that I got to watch grow up and spend more time with them.
So you keep saying where you were then and now. What were the drastic changes? Did you undergo some special type of medicine?
Yeah, so with MS, you have lesions on your brain and your spine, prohibit you things. So my symptoms were my right arm, my right leg. Obviously, different MS people have different symptoms, and go through the treatment to kind of neutralize everything was really tough mentally, as a person and as a dad. But believe in the process. Believe in the doctors. They do all the stuff that I don't really know what they're talking about. You believe in them, and things will get better. And for me right now, talking here today, I feel normal and great, and looking forward to today.
Oh, well, I love that, and so much hope in your story. And you were talking about your young girls. Was that something that whenever you did find out that you had this, was it family? Was that what got you through?
Yeah, that was a hard part. Having my family. If me and my wife been together since I was 16. She's been through everything. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. She was the rock where the bad days she picked me up, and having the two young girls motivates you, and for going on for me, I want the best health and watch my girls grow, and we're doing the right way right now.
So what is next for you in the sense? Is it you have such a charitable heart? Is that really where you're going to dive in? What is it looking like for you?
I think motivating people, telling my story. I know I've inspired a lot of people to overcome things like not just MS and everything in life. We're going to be working with MS through our foundation and helping out other foundations, but just inspire people and tell my stories. It's kind of fun, and hopefully help out other people at the same time.
Absolutely. And tell us where people can find out more about your organization.
Yeah, so you can go on the bickelfoundation.org. We got a new thing coming up, and tomorrow actually we're releasing a program we work with service dogs. We originally worked with pit bull breed dogs, and we rescued them, and now we're going to be building them to be service dogs for MS, and we're going to launch that tomorrow, and we're going to look forward to it.
That's a big deal. Isn't it amazing that here you had this foundation that already worked with dogs, and now you're able to combine both and really reach a whole new market?
Yeah, it was, kind of interesting. We started this, 7-8 years ago, and then worked with the dogs because they have a bad rep and they're misunderstood. And then, we worked with kids, and now, finding out 8 months ago, MS people need service dogs. So every MS person need different service. There's the sight, balance, and just emotional support. So, why not get these dogs and rescue them and then fix them and help out other people.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at what our viewers had to say on this topic. We asked, what medical mountains have you overcome in your life, and how did you do it?
2 years ago, I overcame depression. I had it for about 1.5 years. All I really did was I just stuck with it. I kept trying my best, and every time I thought something was going to get me down, I just kept moving forward. you really just got to stay positive and do everything that you want to do yourself, and don't listen to what other people say negatively about you. Just stay happy in the world.
I have a really bad anxiety, but I'm a comedian, and so those two things kind of like they kind of contradict each other, because like I'm like nervous about everything in life, but like I somehow like find it super okay to like get up in front of a group of people and talk about myself and talk about my life, and yeah, I kind of actually find, weirdly enough, that is like something that helps me with my anxiety more than like, because I know it like scares a lot of other people to do that, but for me it's like something that I really enjoy doing.
So when I was 16, I had to be in the hospital for 3 months, and I had to check into the hospital on my 16th birthday, which was no fun, and the opposite of what people think when they think of like teenagerhood, but it was really important, and it helped me, and I realized so many things about myself, and I made it through. And every time I think back on it, I think that like I would not be the person I was today if I didn't go through that experience. So I am so thankful for it, and I've never regretted that I had to do it or wished anything was differently.
Get social with us. Make your voice heard. Submit your video on WhitneyReynolds.com. Our next guest, who has MS, was on her way home from the doctor when she was in so much pain, she decided to lay down in a taxi. Looking up, she got the vision for her business. Let's welcome out a phenomenal street photographer, Lori Swerdlow. Welcome to the show. We've been talking about people that have overcome what could have been a bad situation or where they're feeling defeated and getting to the next level. And you did that with MS by finding your passion. Tell us about what it was like whenever you were early diagnosed.
When I was first diagnosed, I was very active. I was a cyclist. I swam, I speed walked. When I was diagnosed with MS, it wasn't like I was afflicted or encumbered 24/7. I would only get sick once or twice a year for 3 to 5 weeks. And each time it would affect a different function, whether it was double vision or bad balance or whatnot. But the rest of the time I was like everybody else, tooling around.
When you were younger, were you worried about where you are now? Did you think, where's older Lori going to be in 20, 40 years? What's going to be going on?
Of course, it was always in the background, but I really didn't think about it because I've just been so busy doing what I like to do. But I just dealt with it with humor, with my family, so it was always something.
Over the years, did it progressively get worse?
It changed. You know, I don't have exacerbations anymore.
And just in case our viewers don't know what that means.
It's just an MS attack. You know, something that each person is affected in however it's affecting their bodies.
Have you seen that it's gotten a lot better as well, like the research and how they handle it?
Totally. I mean, it's better to get diagnosed now than it was back then.
It's amazing. You're one of the pioneers.
Oh, yeah.
And when you were younger, one of my favorite stories about your journey and how you found your passion today was whenever you were coming home from doctor's appointments or going to work, you would lay down in taxis and you would look up. Tell our viewers about what you discovered when you were in the back of these taxis.
Well, it didn't happen all the time, but if I wasn't feeling well, instead of taking the bus, I would take a cab. And just to feel better, regenerate my nerves, I'd lay down in the back seat and I'd tell them where to go. So I'd look up and, you know, say, go left on Clark or whatever. And they'd always say, well, how do you know where we're going? And I said, I know the tops of the buildings as well as the bottoms. Of course, I worked in real estate, so that helped a little bit, but nonetheless. And I said, gee, if I ever get to stop working 9 to 5, I should do a photo book of my own perspective of the city of Chicago, looking up.
My own perspective of looking up. And you were able to do that.
I was. When I was able to leave the 9 to 5, I just picked up photography and I tool around every place.
So what does that mean for you?
I love it. I love it. And I love the people that I meet, and I love the opportunities that I have. It just doesn't stop me.
And it
just gives
really
you-
is your perspective of photography and also photography with MS, because it's not like even getting to where you're going, it's a little different.
It is. I do say though, because when I'm out and about, I'm on my mobility scooter. And it just gives me the opportunity to not have to be aware of walking, of the problems that I'm having. So I go as far as I want to go. I go wherever I want to go. And I amazingly go so many places all around the city. Nothing stops me.
And you shoot it on your scooter.
I do. So I always have my camera in my right hand. I accelerate and, drive with my left hand. So, and everybody knows me around the city. They're like, oh, there's Lori,
And they know you because the photos come out from your perspective.
They do. And I share them and I, connect with people.
Did you ever create that book of the looking up?
I didn't. A lot of my pictures do have that perspective as well as everything else because I do street photography, which is everything. But I haven't made a book yet. I'm in the process of one of my experiences of going inside the old Main Post Office, which was phenomenal when it was vacant for 12 years. So it was cool.
And you always have these experiences. And what I love is your perspective. Do you incorporate the fact when you're selling these photos that you have MS? Like, do you bring that up to the clients? Like, because for me, that's like one of the most powerful things about this is you're not letting that stop you.
Sometimes I do. In my bio on my website, it touches on that. Most often, I love meeting people. And they see that I'm in my scooter. But it doesn't really appear that way, I think, from other people because I might be lower, but people don't it's not like it's on their minds that I have an issue because everybody has something, I believe.
Well, and that's what's incredible and I hope is resonating today with everyone is not only do we all have something, but we all have something in our lives that could seem like it could bring us down. And our guests today are doing just the opposite. They are rising to the next level.
Yeah.
So you've made this a full-time career. Where is some of your artwork?
I have various displays. Currently, I'm over at 600 West Chicago Avenue on the Riverwalk Concourse. I also have a long-time location at the Tremont Hotel. So that's phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What would you want people that are watching to know about your journey besides what we've talked about already? Like what was one of your scariest moments and what's one of your best moments with MS?
Whenever you're going through something that's affecting your naturalness, what you normally do,
Right.
It's always in the background, but don't let it be something that's going to control you. Continue to do and live and enjoy and, see where it goes.
I absolutely
okay.
love that.
Right. It's good.
And develop a passion.
Yes. If you can, but keep on going until you do.
Oh, that is so good. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Today's guests aren't letting their medical limits stop them. In fact, each of them are moving mountains with MS. Whatever you might be going through, remember, tomorrow is a new day and offers new hope. As today's guest taught us, if we can take these life lessons or challenges and channel them in a positive way, there's no stopping you. For more information on today's show, you can visit whitneyreynolds.com. Go beyond the interview with our 52-week guide of inspiration. The book goes deeper with the stories you see right here on The Whitney Reynolds Show. To order your copy for $12.95 plus shipping and handling, go to whitneyreynolds.com/store. The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by Children's Learning Place, excellence in early childhood education since 1998, educating Chicago's children for 20 years. and the Auto Barn Mazda of Evanston and Chicago. The Auto Barn Mazda, where driving matters. Special thanks to the Illinois chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Dr. Daftari and the team at Arta Modern Dentistry, Kevin Kelly with Jameson Sotheby's International Realty, STI Movers, Mazda, Chicago Andrea Creative, and Cellular Intelligence.